So, what was it about that whole thing where I said that in order to move on detachment-wise from the dense dork, I basically have to give up on them as a person? You said that was like a paradox. Why? Yeah. And I want to respect the actual person while keeping the fantasy in a healthy sense, because that, in a healthy sense, it can be used as a creative medium and output. In an unhealthy sense, though, it gets me trying to it ends up with me trying to get the actual person to be like the fantasy, and that's not reasonable or anything I want to actually put my effort into. Yeah, because the parasite feeds off of the person's existence in the first place. Which means that if I don't detach from the actual person, the parasite will just keep re-emerging. It's a fucking tragedy. I hate I hate how much I've accepted it, but it's literally a fucking psychological and emotional tragedy. Yeah. The reason why I wanted to have this conversation about you calling it a paradox is exactly that point. Because up until now, I have not been able to frame it or phrase it in a way where someone else understands the fundamental frustration that lies at the heart of this bullshit. But now I have. I don't really care either way because regardless, it forces me up against a fundamental truth that I have to close off this opportunity that is open for the dense stork in order for me to move on. And the moment I close it off is the moment they're going to fucking regret it. They will well, considering all the paragraphs I wrote in a public voice, in a public server that has social connections to the Dense Dorks group, potentially. It has taken me 4 fucking years just to find my own damn words when it comes to this situation in order to communicate clearly enough that, hey, I'm trying to keep this possibility alive if you want to fucking indulge in it and or learn from it. If not, I'm going to be forced to close the damn door. Yeah, but let's be real, that door opened when they were nowhere near ready for it. Oh, they're not. I have been consistently let my insecure side out in specific YouTube videos and otherwise for the express purpose of giving them opportunities to actually sit down and work with me through it instead of avoiding my insecurity like to the same degree that they avoid their own insecurity. They've burned every chance, and this is the last warning call. That's the reason why it's paragraphs, because I'm giving up in a sense, more deeply than I had before. Han, they wouldn't even know how to. I, I'm going to be real. Yeah, they'd all feel the nastiest fucking infection because I pushed them away, since they would ultimately be the kind of dumbass to unintentionally sacrifice themselves for that infection if I were to not push them away, and they were to actually truly get to know me. And that's not something I want, so I decided to be selfish. Here's the parasite you left me with. Do you want to dissect it yourself, or am I fine to throw it in the trash bin finally? And stomp it to fucking death? Because, again, like I said the other night, you are not the only one who's damn sick of this psychological parasite messing with me. I'm damn sick of this psychological parasite messing with me. wanna know the dumbass idea I had the other night because this stupid fucking parasite is a creative output? Kamara, the fictional dork, a reflection of the dense dork. Kamara as the familiar and me as the witch. But she's the one who prefers to having an adult presentation and looking like a proper human. Meanwhile, I'm small and gremlin-sized. It's like, oh, is that your familiar? No, that's the witch. What? That's the witch. She's the familiar. The larger girl is the familiar and the sub. It's just I would have such a shit-eating grin. It's fine. I'm just getting it out of my system because holy fuck. Holy fuck. It would be so enjoyably funny to watch that dense dork exclaim that no, I am the gremlin they like, even though it is entirely embarrassing for them to admit that. But that's not the reality, that's the fiction. The fiction the fiction doesn't exist. Because I've already worked through that internally with myself, and to have pulled it off both internally and externally on such a degree would be. I'm sorry, but yeah, no, it's totally based on bragging rights. Like, oh, you thought I had issues. Well, wait until you found out I dealt with my issues in parallel. Because I want to teach the other goober how to have their own teeth and claws, and they won't learn that from me unless I actually accommodate them. It helps me somewhat, but you gotta realize the tone shift in my voice between me presenting the manic idea, creative idea drafted up by having this parasite attached versus the tone of voice switch when I acknowledge that the fiction isn't real is the equivalent of me pulling the parasite off of my head and becoming depressed as a withdrawal symptom. No, this entire situation is the result of me catching hard feelings and going, but the other person wasn't ready for this. And this would be very, very unfair to just move on and give up without giving them the chance. So I'm being a dumbass and putting myself through psychological torture so as to give someone else a chance that they may never get again, far as I know or care about. Because I don't think I'm easily replaceable. I think I'm pretty damn hard to replace as a person. You'll get many other people who will be similar to me, but none of them will have very few of them will ever have my depth, and it'll be a whole new process all over again. They won't have seen the original you. They won't have cared about that you. They'll have seen and cared about wherever you've ended up at. And if the dense stork is wanting to leave that old self, that old perspective behind, then I can't stop them. But I just want to make sure if they're really okay with doing that. And even if they haven't proven themselves capable of changing and learning the lesson in the way I need it. And that's just them having a personal boundary for themselves, their own sanity and comfort. Because to me, the solution I want and kind of need is in conflict territory. And that's their one big fucking weakness, which is kind of part of why I wanted to keep this opportunity open because it would give them a chance to work through it over and over and over again until they've got a better hang of it. They would give them genuinely good experience point bonus for actually engaging, but they've never engage beyond what they were comfortable with. They never stuck out the discomfort like they did before, because the idea of finding a middle space between sacrificing yourself for a person and being there for yourself at the same time is a concept they would be still working on and internalizing as a person. They don't know how to do it, and I'm not going to shame them for that. The only thing that's made me snappy and towards them is just the grief of knowing that I'm probably going to end up letting go. It's gonna hurt. Not just for them, but for me too. Hugs and head pats. I've talked enough about this with you anyways. You're tired of hearing it, right? You think letting go is a one-time process. Oh, joy. It's getting to this point has been the process. Just because I didn't Just because I was in the earlier stages of grief does not mean that I wasn't working towards letting go. Like, yes, to some degree I was trying to prolong the opportunity, but I know my own worth, and I know I'm not worth waiting around for someone who would not do the same for me. The funny thing is, I liked what it brought out in me. I got to see my true depth, my true worth, and for all the messy parts that were active, I at least learned more about myself. I can't imagine anything more worth it. Love's far off hidden from the world's cold solace. Then you call my name every time I hide this pain. And that's the ironic thing, is I have romantic decay, but I don't have friendship decay. Understand hugs and head pats, much snuggle for tired brain. Hmm?
Do you remember the guy named?
Yeah. Be delusional, be crazy, learn from it. Be where we fall apart, no, I can't imagine anything more worth it. Love forbidden from the world's cold surface. And the funny thing is, it's because I think they're going to get hurt that I'm willing to open up like this. Not because they're dating someone else. Which is so fucking beautiful in irony. Alright, that's like humanity ever, so there's no shame. Oh, I'm finding it very hard not to laugh at how you phrased it. Oh. Oh.